What's going on, everybody? This is AJ Capasso here, host of Talking with the Source. I'm here with my good friend and other host, as he's out of the screen.
It's Jason Voorhees from Hoffer Paranormal. I'm talking with the source.
Jesus Christ. Do you see this shit, people? This is what I deal with. Anyway, we have an awesome guest here, one of my good friends. Go ahead, my friend, introduce yourself.
What's up, guys? I'm Ben Werblow.
Nice, awesome. So, a little bit of how me and Ben met. I work at a gas station near my house. He ended up coming in. We got into a paranormal discussion. And believe it or not, he might actually be joining the Coventry Circle Paranormal with me if we can get our schedules right. But I wanted to bring him on today because he had some awesome paranormal experiences. And I wanted him to share some with our viewers. So any of the viewers that have your own paranormal experiences, please feel free to put them in the comments or, anything. Just get involved in the conversation and we'll put it up on the screen for you. So, Ben, first question I wanted to ask you was, how old were you when you got into the paranormal? Was it ever since you were a kid or just something like you got into later in life? What was it?
I'd say, as a kid, I was afraid of the dark, so I just didn't want to have anything to do with really the paranormal. I think as I got older and maybe into, college, well, I guess it was probably high school age, I would start exploring, abandoned buildings with friends and stuff like that. And just trying to conquer my fears at that point. You know, I got to outgrow it at some point. So, we'd go to different places and see if we, come across anything. So that's basically how it started back in my high school age. Yeah.
Nice. Now, what was I going to say? So you, hey, Ashley Hill, how are you?
Ashley.
Robin, I'm going to let you ask the next question because I have a couple that I want to ask, but I want to save it. So go ahead because you don't know Ben like I know him.
You've basically explained everything to me anyway, so...
Oh, you're right, I did. You're right, I did.
You did. He was talking about you behind your back. See, this is what it was.
He's not the only one, but yeah, that's all good, definitely.
No, I mean, at the end of the day, he said to you, he said to me about how he's going to have you, joining his team and stuff like that. So if he's down with that, then I'm down with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's something that's always been interesting to me, and I think what really ignited that desire was when I was in college at Southern Connecticut State University. My freshman year, we had Ed and Lorraine Warren come to our school to give a presentation, and they told stories about Annabelle from the movies. They didn't really mention too much about The Conjuring, but just Dudleytown, places in Connecticut, Union Cemetery and Monroe, stuff like that. And so then with friends, I would go and try and go to some of these places. And so
I tell you what, Union is so hard to get into. I called the town. I spoke to the people. They will not allow anybody. Ed and Lorraine Warren, ever since they went there, people, I guess, went there and vandalized people's loved ones' stuff. So at dark, they have a cop sitting there now. And if you do come in, they prosecute you to the fullest. And they were like, you can go during the day and investigate if you want, but you're not going in once dusk hits. And I'm like, wow, I even offered to pay and everything. So they said that Ed and Lorraine ruined that cemetery. And I was like, well, it's not them who ruined it. It's people going there and being disrespectful who shouldn't be disrespectful. And they made a bad name for most paranormal researchers. But so tell me, man, before me and you met at the gas station, was there any things that were starting to get you into the paranormal again? Or was it just right when we just had that conversation, just connected?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been interested in wanting to do stuff, not I do it every year, but I don't know exactly how the conversation came up. It just kind of seemed like it was just something supposed to happen that day, and then once it started, it just took off with it and ran.
We were talking for like an hour and a half, right? It was 12 at night, one at night.
Yeah, it was one something. Probably good. I mean, about an hour. Yeah, it was it went.
That was awesome.
A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff.
Yeah, we sort of trust each other on on what we say. So if he says you're good at it and stuff like that, then
yeah,
I believe his word. There's another guest coming in, and she's from New Zealand. She's very good.
Awesome.
Yeah, and she's also a medium, correct?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but she does like she can do remote like through your phone if you go live or do a messenger call and you go through a location. She can do the through the phone. Can't remember what the word of it is. Nando.
Hey, I want to say hi to Charles Rudd, Stanley from Boston, and Nando, my brother. What's going on?
What up? What up? What up?
So tell me, man, what I know you told me one paranormal experience, and I wanted you to save the serious one for obviously now. But tell them the one that you told me about before you tell the one that was, the most serious one.
So yeah, I have a couple of good ones. I could talk about using Ouija boards and stuff like that. But if you want to just hear something, just really
please, whatever experience you want to share.
So when I was in college, I was dating a girl who was into the Ouija board a lot, and we would use it with a bunch of different friends. And it was probably middle of October, and we asked it who would win the Super Bowl, and it spelled out GB. And for those of you that don't know too much about football, that's not even halfway through the NFL season. Anyway, whoever we were using it with, we in the dorms or with high school friends or friends from college, wherever it was. Every time we'd asked it who would win the Super Bowl, it spelled out GB. And so about when the end of the football season ended, which was end of July.
You must have been waiting.
The team we were saying is Green Bay. It's Green Bay, and Green Bay ended up winning the Super Bowl that year. So I wish I had bet some money on it, but it was every single time Green Bay, and I thought that was something that was interesting. If there was sports books open then,
right? But who would have thought let me trust the board,
right?
You know what I mean? Am I really getting any answers? But did you end up having any bad experiences with the Ouija board?
So we used it until probably for a year or so. One time I was with some friends here in Durham, and we're downstairs at his house using it, and it just started going really real fast. And it it would go so fast that it was force kind of was strong, and it was and it stopped, and it spelled out it started spelling go away, and then we all started bugging out, and then it said it's FUKNOW, and but it was going so fast, and then we were just and it stopped right on these letters, and we're it scared all of us so much, and none of us ever touched it ever again. And we're no, I don't know what that is, because it didn't want us using it. So let's stop right now.
Yeah. Well, they say that with the Ouija board, the reason why they tell people not to use it is because they say that it connects with the lower vibrational beings. So you'll always get something not so great. But I've had great, sessions too. I mean, I've had a terrible experience, but I've had, great sessions with it too. I don't use it anymore, but when I did, I've had sessions like you where nothing, crazy or bad had happened or anything. But I tell you what, it is a scary situation because you don't know what can follow you from that situation. So it's scary, but I'm glad everything worked out,
Yeah. I guess it could have gone a lot worse, I guess, apparently.
Go ahead, Robin.
Yeah, no, it's not the kind of thing that I would use. I tend to stay away from that. But I've seen it being done. I've stood in a room and watched it, and people will say, well, if you're in the same room when it's being done, you may as well have your finger on the glass. But I'm always curious about them. I'll watch them and stuff like that. But as far as participating now,
yeah,
it's not for everybody.
No, it's not.
I feel like most people don't want to use them. Most people are F that. So
yeah. Oh, definitely. I'm totally with you on that. I mean, there's a lot of people that won't use them just because of the bad stigma, the movies. Just everything. But I think the reason why people have such bad experiences is because they go in with the intent thinking oh, I'm going to have a bad experience, or I'm scared. And I think that intent is such a big thing in this field when we're trying to connect with these spirits. If you go in with the intent of disrespect, you're going to get disrespect in return, I feel. And it's happened to a lot of people where you see these people go into locations and these spirits are so annoyed with people coming in oh, light up this light for me, and it's what am I, a circus act? If I was a spirit, I'd be no, go kill yourself, but so I can understand when people have certain intentions to go in and be disrespectful.
There is another side. there's another side of it for you hear these stories about these people who actually make them, and they actually put something into them as they're making it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, like excuse me, whether it's like a spell or whatever they want to call it, they put bad intent into it as they're making it. So if that's the case, then it's never ever going to house anything good, is it?
No, never. I mean, but then again, like, how strong is whatever they're putting in it? Are they occultists? Do they really know what they're doing? Like, that's the whole aspects behind it, I mean, who knows? I mean, just the energy alone, we know that energy's, positive and negative. I mean, if you take a jar of rice and you seal the jar up, 2 jars, and each morning or each night you say to one jar very positive things, and then to the second jar you say very negative things, you'll actually see the positive jar never change color and the rice will stay fine. But the jar that you've said negative stuff to, the rice will actually start to mold and decay. So it goes to show that the energy actually, energy in our lives actually have that. And Charles just said, they have them to sell to children. And yes, I think that's so wrong because, something serious could seriously happen to a child that doesn't know what they're getting themselves into. But, like I said, you have great experiences like Ben have had. And then you've had experiences like I had that got me away from using it where I had something attached to me, which was horrible.
Yeah, well, horrible. I think if we didn't stop, we could have had that happen.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It was good, but ended up bad, and we're done. Because we knew it worked, and knew there was something going on with it. There was something that we were connected to that was interesting, and then it got kind of scary at the end. So we just left it at that.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you guys knew what you were doing at that time too, because if you didn't close it or something, that would have been bad.
Right.
So tell us, man. I've been waiting to hear this one. So tell us this experience.
I'm gonna go. I want to say one story about Dudleytown. I was after I'd seen them at college, like where I was talking with friends, and one of my friends had said they had gone to Dudleytown, and was telling me a couple of different stories about he said that, how there's no animals there. It's dead quiet.
Yeah.
You don't hear any noises from any kind of living creatures. It's a bunch of basically foundation stone walls. There's really not much in there, but he said when he was there, it was at night, and he said one of the things I remember him saying is that he saw this flash of light flash I don't know, maybe 5 or so feet off the ground, and it went just parallel with the ground, and it basically just flashed across in front of him and didn't hit any trees. It's this light, this was basically, he said, a laser that shot through the woods. And then he said that he was with a friend, and I don't remember whether it was him or his friend. One of them said to the other person, do you hear that noise? And the person was like, no, I don't hear this noise. And the person's like, well, what does it sound like? And then they were told by their friend, well, it sounds like some kind of a machine in the woods, or maybe a plane. But the other person never heard the noise.
Right next to him, right?
Right, yeah. It was standing, within, 5, right there, within 3 feet of each other. So one person heard this noise and the other person didn't. So when I went there with my brother, my brother had not really known anything about the background, besides that there was no animals, it's supposed to be dead quiet. So we were walking, and then it started getting a little bit dark, and all of a sudden my brother goes to me. He's like, wait, he's like, do you hear that noise? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he was like, and I knew what he was going to say before I said it. And he was just it sounds like a machine in the woods. And I was like, oh my God,
that was the same thing that person was just
and I was like, it sounds like a machine. And I said, it sounds like a machine in the woods. And he's like, yeah, he's like, and he's like, you don't hear it? I said, no. And he goes, well, maybe it's a plane. And so without knowing anything about the story, the same thing happened to me and my brother. And then I was like, no, I was like, you know what? My friend from high school told me the same story. Totally exact same thing happened to him. And then we just got we were a little nervous, and we were like, let's get the hell out of here. So it started getting dark, and we were like, we didn't want to get arrested. We figured if we were there in the dark, it might not be good. But this with
he keeps telling me he wants to go there.
Yeah.
What?
No, he keeps telling me he wants to go.
Oh, yeah. I would. Yeah, I'd go. It's hard to find. It probably was like we'd gone up there a few different times and went to the wrong place. We finally knew we were in the right place, and it's really another thing. Like,
a lot of private property.
You think Union Cemetery is hard to go in Easton. This is probably even harder.
Oh yeah. The cops patrol like crazy. For any viewers that don't know what Dudleytown is in Connecticut, Dudleytown is an old town where the Puritans basically settled, and basically there was a curse that they believe that fell over this town, just one thing after another, and they basically abandoned this entire town. And like he was saying, you know, people will go there, there won't be any animals, they won't hear literally anything. But there's been so many recorded things going on. Like one of the first stories that I ever heard was these people went there, these kids went there, they thought like trying to act cool, and they're like, I'm a demon slayer, and they're making fun of demons because this place is well known to have demons, I guess, running around it. And when they left, they were in their car driving, and this truck was coming down the road, and the truck almost nailed them, and they had to swerve off the road, and the trucker stopped and got out of the car and was like, oh my God, like, I did not see your vehicle until I was about to crush you guys. Somehow they were cloaked, and this guy could not see them, and they almost had a massive death on that road, but wherever they were going from. But it was one of the serious things that I've ever heard coming from there, and I've had a lot of friends that go there and stuff and have gone there, and you know, they said a lot of things. Like my ex-girlfriend said the same thing. One of the well-known things about there is that people will leave their cars like parked on certain roads or somewhere. I forget what road it is to Dudleytown, and they'll find like children handprints when they come back, which is like the coolest, weirdest thing. But I mean, it would freak me out. But I've been dying to go there, and I've been dying to put, you know, that place to rest because I want to know if it's as serious as, you know, everybody makes it out to be. But when I hear stories like yours and stuff, it makes me want to go even more, man.
Yeah, I think I remember one of the things that when the Warrens were talking about Dudleytown, one of the first stories I remember them telling was that I guess there was a couple that were there and they wanted to spend the night, but like the woman or whatever, I guess she's like, you know, I can't stay over here, and so she left. But she left the man by herself, and I guess when she went back the next day, like he was alive, but whatever he encountered, whatever terror he went through, he was never able to speak again. Like he was so afraid that, like, I guess he was never able to talk again, and just kind of like.
Can you imagine what you have to go through to be like that?
To lose your mind like that.
Yeah, to lose your mind like that. Like I can't even imagine like what he would have saw.
Yeah,
or what he would have experienced, you know,
or
what
felt,
I mean?
or whatever. So, but that was one of the first things that I remember them saying, and I was like, "Well, don't want to go there alone." That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Now, do you get to go out with any of your friends now and go any places by chance? I mean, I know you're working totally all the time, and
I haven't gone out really like on any adventures probably since like around 2020, 2019 was probably really, it's been a couple of years since I really have gone out and done stuff. I've been, you know, obviously always interested, but yeah, I've been working a lot and busy in the summer times when it's really prime weather, you know, it's like when it really been
terrible now.
You need to get back out again.
What was that?
You need to get back out again. Get out with Asia.
There's a place down the road that, you know, like this is the town I grew up in. There's a place down the road that has, you know, we've talked about the cemetery down there checking out.
Yeah.
And, but I definitely want to, like, I do have a little more time now. So I definitely I can't wait to go on my next adventure.
No, definitely. And we're going to get out there because the place that he was talking about was the one that I had the attachment from. Hi, Tracy. How are you? Thank you for joining us. And that was the place that I had that, you know, that attachment, Robin, the last time I went because I forgot to protect myself. And I've been dying to go back there because I got such great spirit box responses, man. And like just everything that was happening that night. I went alone, which was stupid because I was terrified. I'm terrified of the dark as it is. I'm worried about someone attacking me, not like ghosts and shit. You know, like an animal or something, like, and not having a knife on me, you know?
The thing is, like, when you go out by yourself, you don't have anybody really to share that story with. At least you have one person.
The only thing I got is film.
Exactly, and if you even have one person you experiment with, at least you have a story with that person that you know you can have for the rest of your life, and it's a lot better than who's going to believe me.
Yeah,
exactly. And the annoying thing as well is the laws over there compared to here, because I go around abandoned buildings everywhere over here, and it's only a civil offence. So if the police are called, which sometimes they are, and they come and they just say, could you just move on? You're like, yeah, fair enough. If you're damaging stuff, if you're setting fire to the place, if you're if you give them a load of shit, basically, then they'll say, right, you're coming with us. But
hey, we have Janie with us. Hey, Janie.
Hello, everybody.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Good.
This lady is fantastic, by the way.
Hey, Giuseppe.
Hi, idiot.
Yeah, right.
I'm here.
So, Jenny, I was just actually going to introduce you to my friend Ben here. Ben, this is Jenny.
Hey, what's up? How are you?
Please tell our viewers a little bit about yourself, Jenny.
So I'm currently in New Zealand. I'm originally from Australia, was born in New Zealand, so I have come home. I do a lot of paranormal and cryptic research. A lot of it essentially is done in the bush. I'm not much for a location person, only because the industry's flooded. But a lot of my talents are well served in the bush. So as history has it, I've been able to find historical locations to Indigenous people. I have done there's so many things. Yeah, like once you sort of start getting into it. I do have abilities, so I've been able to sort of hone in on those, which helps me quite a lot in the industry.
Awesome.
And so a lot of my things that I do at the moment is to do with obviously being here. I have teams that I work with in Australia and other things around the world. But essentially what I do is I can from here remote view and take my teams out. And so when they're out in the bush, I can direct them to, we do a lot of, as you would call it, Sasquatch work, Bigfoot work. What I do is I will just take the team out, I will remote view, and I will guide them to where they are in the mountain. I've led them out of the mountain when they've been lost. So there's just a few things that it's a broad spectrum.
And her house is haunted as well.
Beg your pardon?
Your house is haunted, isn't it?
My house, yes. Yes, it is.
Welcome to the club.
Yes, yeah. It's funny how we always attract it, isn't it?
Like a light in a dark room, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So what about yourselves?
I'm from Connecticut. I'm from the USA. So Ben as well, obviously, because he's with me. And as you know already, Robin, where he's from. But I've been...
Look at you do, because I don't.
Yeah, I know, right?
He's still walking with one thong on his foot, one jandal.
Yeah,
left shoe. He's still walking with the left shoe.
Yeah. Well, listen, I have 2 left feet, so I could completely understand.
That one.
Biggest clutch you'll ever meet. I've been in paranormal for almost 10 years now as just a researcher doing investigations and stuff like that. But I switched my investigations now to I got away from residential and stuff like that. I wanted to do more spirit communication work. So I've been focusing a lot on that now. I mean, I do go out to locations. I like to go to like the older cemeteries that we have over here from like the 1600s and stuff like that. I still go to locations that are famous and stuff, but I like doing stuff that isn't what everybody else is doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about there, is dressing up as a woman and standing on the street corner.
This guy, man.
I didn't hear about that.
There's always research.
Hey, Ben, welcome to Coventry Circle Paranormal.
Yeah. I tell you. See what I do with Janie? See?
Where men are ladies and ladies are ladies.
Oh, gosh. Well,
I love it.
Anyway, Janie, before we were coming, Ben was sharing some experiences, and I wanted to know if you could share some of your most profound paranormal experiences with us.
Okay. Probably profound. Oh, there's quite a few. Okay, so I will share one of my favorites that was in the bush. Oh, you want location favorite?
No. Anything you want to share.
Yeah. Okay. So, one of my favorites would have to be at a place called Mount Tibrogargan in Sunshine Coast, which is in Australia. And so I was out. This is a fairly new location for me. I'd been there once before, and then went out again. And when you sort of park in the car park, and it's all bush. It's right in the middle of the bush, and you walk down, and there's in the center of this national park is a mountain, and it's sort of like a I'd have to get photos for you to understand, but it's a beautiful, beautiful national park, very rich, very, very lush. Yeah. And so I've walked in, and I sort of stood at the top of this hill. So as you kind of leave the car park, you walk into the center, and then you go down, just sort of down a little bit, down a little bit of a hill. And I'm standing at the top, and I started taking photos. The instinct kicks in, and you start taking photos. And I noticed when I was scanning through that it looked like at the end, so all the trees would come over into a beautiful little archway. Yeah. And I noticed at the end that it looked like a door. And I thought, now I took photos from here last time, and I never noticed that before. But, I thought, sometimes we can miss things. It's not uncommon. So I get down to the bottom, and I thought, nah, this is feeling not right. So I popped my hand on the ground, and as soon as I put my hand down and I looked up, and right before my eyes was a complete slaughter field of old Indigenous people.
Oh, wow.
And so one of them was sort of looked over at me, and he just reaches his arm up, and they were just torn. They were, blood everywhere. There were things missing. It was a slaughter. And I'm standing there processing and just observing everything that I possibly can, as much information that I can before it closes. And I stand up, and I looked at the friend who, one of my friends who had taken me, and he said to me, what did you see? And I said, it's a slaughterhouse. And he said, you know what? The Indigenous people in the area, they knew that. So what would happen is, when colonization happened, the English would come in, and they would round up all of the males in surrounding towns, and they would lead them to one place, and then they would kill them. And they never knew where this particular area was. They knew it happened, they just didn't know where it was. And so I was able to put that to rest, to be able to give them that information.
Yeah.
That's
crazy. That's crazy, because you're, having an ability, people think that it's like this grand thing, but in reality, it's like, it's a curse and a gift. You know what I mean? It's like, it's crazy. The thing, especially seeing something so horrific like that, it just, it's wild. But even Jennifer was shocked by what you just said. We all are. I want to switch this question over to Ben real quick. So Ben, what do you think happens when we die? In your own opinion. Everyone has their own opinion. No one's an expert. Just tell me, what would you think happens when you pass away?
Honestly, I really have no clue. I don't really think about it much. I just kind of there's something, because I know there's, just with the experiences that we've obviously all had, that links that there's some kind of energy out there. I don't really know. I just try and enjoy life while I'm here. Not worry about the end.
It's a big question to ask,
Yeah,
and
I don't know.
I'm going to ask you the same thing, Janie. What do you think happens when we pass away?
But what do I think, or what do I know?
Well, I know. Yeah, well, I know you're going to say no. I'm going to say no, because I want you to tell us what you know. But I just figured, I'd say it like that to make it sound better.
Okay, so in my own experiences, from what I remember, I have, when you pass, you are met by your genetic ancestors. It is like a string, same as what you would find as you go into the ether. and you're met by these people who, or your family, as per se, and you go through I'm sorry, you go through a review of your lifetime. I don't know if you understand things like the Thoth tablets. I recently did some research on that as well, just to find understanding, and I guess you could say if there was more information to it. And I do believe that the Thoth tablets do talk a lot about what happens when you pass, and the different ascension levels. My belief system isn't like the textbook everybody jumps on the group fashionable t-shirt kind of thing. I view things the way I view things, whether they're right or wrong. But I do believe that once we do pass over, we don't leave Earth. Now, we will either become, reincarnation. Everybody believes in reincarnation. In the top tablet, they talk a lot about, having to go through 1,000 years in spirit realm before you reignite, before you're reinstated back into Earth, and to be approved, because there's only so many people that can be on Earth as people. And so my thing is I do feel that every soul is inhibited on this planet, whether it is via a tree, a flower, a bee, particle of rivers, rocks. You could be a tree standing for 1,000 years and then all of a sudden die, but would be reincarnated as a human. Those are the things that I believe. It doesn't mean that they're right or wrong. I believe that sometimes paranormal, and you'll freak about this, but this is a belief system that I have, only from work that I've done, that this has come about. But I feel that sometimes human interaction with paranormal could also be a lot to do with, yes, there's spirit realm, but there's also spirits passing. So we all know that when we sleep, we will go into, most of us will go into the ether. Some of us will astro travel into different dimensional realms, those types of things. Now, what if on passing, while you were doing a EVP recording or a spirit box session, that I was asleep on this side of the planet, traveling around, and just so happened to come past you?
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally believe it. I mean, I've astral traveled once, and I tell you what, it was the most crazy experience I've ever had. Like, crazy experience I've ever had. So I totally agree with that. I totally do you agree that our consciousness, when we sleep, will travel, like we'll leave this body and travel to other realms and stuff like that? That is something you truly believe? Yes, I do too. So
yeah. So my thing was like, what if, for that one instance that, like I said, once you're doing the spirit box session and I just happen to come past and hear it and then come down and go like, oh, hey, how you going? Mention my name. And then all of a sudden people are like, wow, we've got a ghost. So, I'm not discrediting that there's spirits and that, because absolutely there is 100%, and there's residual energy, and we all know that, plasma, all that sort of stuff. We do understand that ghosts are absolutely here and around us. I also feel that sometimes, and no one's going to ever know that, but sometimes it just might be that somebody who's in astro travel mode might just be popping into a spirit box. It into that. I mean, that for me was kind of mind-blowing thing to come across.
It's so funny because I've talked to a lot of different mediums, and some of the stuff they said obviously resonates with what you said. But it's so crazy because if people actually heard a lot of the stuff that mediums like yourself get, they would be like, well, that's not what I believe because of religion or because of this and this. And it's sad that, it has such a hold over everyone, like religion itself, like it has to be this way or no way, that we can't be open-minded and think maybe that, yes, this has a piece of it, but there's so much more. And like I say to people, I feel that God's so much bigger than any one book that you could put any information in. And I just feel that we can learn from every single one of the religions, not just one in particular. And I think they all have knowledge that we can take and learn from. But when I hear mediums, I mean, some of the amazing stuff you guys, have told me about the afterlife is nothing what we would expect.
I think when you really date back, obviously a lot of the, the rewriting of history and the closing off of so much information because of greed and all that sort of stuff. We've all heard it before. I think that when you date it right back, the Indian cultures, I know for my cultures, like I'm Polynesian, so I'm Fijian, Samoan, Maori, Irish descent. And so I have a lot of similarities between the cultures where, they talk about this mountain being a sister, this water stream being, but when you really date back even past that, it's all the same. It all dates back to the same things. They all talk about the great floods. They all talk about the sky people. They all talk about, you know what I mean? So, and the different ascension levels and, how humans used to live for a very long time and, 800 years, but we've been squashed down over the years of control. It's kind of like putting a big fish in a small fish bowl, and a small fish in a big bowl. Like they grow to the size of their brain capacity and what they can take. And
it's actually science, not to stop you right there, but science actually just came out and said the reason why things were so much bigger back in the day was because the oxygen level on Earth was greater than it is now. And that actually contributed to a lot of growth in animals and plants and us. And all this stuff. That's why you would see, humans in biblical times being 10 feet tall or whatever along those lines. And I think science just kind of clarified all of that is being said because they figured out that, the oxygen level on Earth has dropped so significantly that's why we're having, a lot of things are smaller and stuff like that. So, I mean, who knows? I mean, but like you said, I had to stop you there because that there's so much truth in what you're saying.
Thank you. Yeah. I do.
Well, could you imagine having 800 years of this? I'm struggling to get by on 45.
Yeah.
800 years, good.
It's all good.
Oh, yeah.
I think Charles says, when I astral travel, I have my main spirit guide go with me and ask another guide watch my body.
Yep. Yep, that can be done.
Is that a smart way to go about it?
What does the strawberry taste like to you?
True.
It's one of those things. It's an individual thing. If he feels a lot safer for somebody to be guarding his body, then so be it. I'm just different. Like, so when people bring to me their experiences, I don't relate them as what I experience because that's just egotistical. But, like, who am I? I'm just another person going through this plane as well. So, each to their own. It's how every person does their own thing and what's comfortable and safe for them. And it's on their own ascension level.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that. Robin, you have any questions you'd like to ask them? Today, like I said, today was just going to be a short live, but I just wanted to come on and share some of Ben's experiences, introduce Ben because he'll probably be getting seen more often, and go from there. But
just started. Yeah, I have a lot. My stories get better and better as I go on. This is a little warm up.
So.
So, any questions?
Yeah, you have any questions for him, Janie, anyone?
Anybody hungry?
Everybody's hungry. What did I?
I've not come across any of you before, so this is all exciting for me. So, Ben, have you just started in the paranormal industry? Is that right?
I mean, like, I've always been interested, but like, I hadn't really, besides just going out with friends and just did stuff for fun. I haven't really, pursued it. Like, I've always been interested. I always wanted to, like, from watching like the TV show Ghost Hunters back in the day. I'm like, man, that'd be like so much fun. Like, I wish I had a crew to go do that with, So.
Yeah, when he met me, I was like, well, I'm looking for a sidekick. So I was like, why not, bring him on in and break the cherry, right?
That's how it starts. Welcome to the rabbit warren.
Right on.
Exactly. It's like when I met AJ, I was an idiot, and hey, I'm still an idiot.
Well, not much changes there, people. No, just joking. But yeah, but Janie, I wanted to say thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to actually talk to you when we get off of this, because I want to actually schedule you to come on if you wouldn't mind being a guest and coming on and sharing more of your information. I don't want to share too much of your stuff now because I want to save it for when you come on. But I want to talk to you back and see if we could get you scheduled and stuff, if that'd be cool.
100% fine. Absolutely.
Before I do go, though, I want to show what Jennifer White just said. She said, so when you sleep, you're saying your spirit leaves your body. Is your experience what you dream about kind of thing? If that makes sense, the last thing she said. Go ahead, Jenny. I'll let you answer that.
Okay, so, I believe, again, not everybody has to believe this, but I believe that I have 7 souls to my body. What I do with my 7 souls is basically guide and direct them with the help of my spirit guides. And so 7 levels of ascension to me has been able to develop me to go and do these things. So one is like, I guess you could say in a trance-like state, I can teleport, but only mentally, not like physically. I can send my certain souls off in dream state. They'll go and retrieve information and bring it back, which is to answer your question. Also, things like remote viewing, certain souls that have been allowed to encompass those gifts for me is what brings them back to me. So that information is then relayed. Yes, you do leave your body. If you are astro traveling, this is the key to astro traveling, is your actual spirit will up and leave your body. And that is the difference between I can keep my soul intact, my spirit intact, but send off my spirits to go and do these things for me. Did that make sense?
No, that made complete sense. I appreciate that. So hopefully Jennifer understood that. I mean, I understood it completely. She said hold on, I'll put it up right now. She said, that's so surreal. I really want to learn more about being an empath.
Okay, so being an empath is, again, a little different. Again, this is just my belief, but I believe that empathic is to do with your internal self and the level of, it deals with a lot of like human type things. So compassion, feeling your senses, being able to look at somebody with body language, and just feeling your environment. It's feeling, everything on the molecular levels to be able to see what is resonating. When somebody walks into a room, you look at them and you feel if they're an angry person, you feel if they're a happy person, you can feel if they're sad, or those sorts of things. And so when they come in, that's an empathic contribution that we have just been instilled with. So you're probably empathic and don't realize it. Some people's levels are just higher.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that 100%. I'm one myself, and it could be a pain being an empath. Let me tell you, picking up on everyone's energy if you don't protect yourself, it sucks. Robin, before we go though, anything you want to say? Because we're definitely having Janie come on because there's so much knowledge I want to have her tell the viewers. And Jennifer said, "Thank you. That makes sense."
Welcome, Jennifer.
No, it does make total sense, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, it definitely does. Well,
just everybody has all their different ideas, and that's what the annoying thing is, because one person will believe that, and somebody else will believe something else and believe something else. But hey ho.
I think the key to all of that is that we don't instill and enforce what somebody's belief is, because I know for me that if somebody was to sit there and choke me with their belief, I would be intimidated and straight away cut off any kind of spiritual connection whatsoever, out of fear that I'm wrong. And the biggest problem in the paranormal and cryptic industry is people choking people out and saying, no, I know you don't. And it's a poison. They are being poisonous to the industry because we are all individuals. We all are living a different path. Doesn't mean that I'm right or I'm wrong. These are just my beliefs from my journey that I've been shown.
Yep. And like I say on this podcast all the time, anybody that claims they're an expert in this field is a liar. There's no such thing as an expert in this field. We all have opinions. We all have theories. Unfortunately, science, it doesn't want to bring this in past pseudoscience, which I hope one day they do. Considering they just released on the CIA or the FBI website about the Gateway Project, which has to do with astral travel and the mind and ESP and all that stuff. So check that out, guys, on the FBI website or the CIA.
Been around for a
a long time. I'm just hoping that one day that they get, they really put it into, the actual scientific realm to find out what's going on. And then maybe one day, hopefully we could say someone's an expert. But until that time, nobody's an expert.
There are still levels upon levels above that. And, when you're going through, if anybody, wants to claim that they're an expert, jump down quantum physics avenues, jump down metaphysic avenues. It's okay to sort of understand small, but quantum physics is quantum physics. Like, there is no end to understanding that. It is just a continuum. And, like, I go through a lot of that information because I need to understand. I will level up all the time. I'm continuously leveling up in my gifts, and I need to understand what is happening to me. And so this is why my knowledge base is so vast, is because I have that need to know who I am.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think that's so important. And I think that's awesome that you do that, because the amount of knowledge that I could just feel coming off of you, that's why I want to have you on, because just this little bit of time, you've instilled us with a lot of knowledge that we would have never thought of had you not shown up. So I really appreciate it. But I wanted to thank Ben, and I want to thank you, Janie, for coming on. Please stay around until this gets over so we could talk in the back and get you scheduled. But thank you guys for coming on. I'm going to end the session now. But I appreciate you guys all the viewers. Thank you so much for watching. And this has been another small pre-episode of Talking with the Source.
Thank you all.
Beautiful. Thank you. Bye, everyone.